name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and you're listening to Chaotic Risk Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.chaoticrisk.com. And this is for our On the Record segment where we talk with musicians about their favorite albums by their favorite band. And today I'm speaking with lead singer Stephen Lee from the Los Angeles-based Van Halen tribute, Viva Halen. Welcome to the show, Steve. How you doing?
Hey, brother. How's it going, man?
Yeah, now, I'm talking to you because a couple weeks back I'd interviewed the guitar player from your band, Frank, and he gave a really good interview. And during that interview, he was telling me that you're a big reason that that band, Viva Halen, is so successful. He says, I could not do it without, any of the guys, but he said, Steve is a great front man. So I thought, okay, I'll reach out to Steve and see if he's interested in talking to us. And the album you chose to discuss today is Van Halen 2. So let's get into it, Steve.
Yeah.
Why that album?
Well, I know Frank discussed number one, so...
Okay.
We do a lot of the songs off of number two. We do a lot of the first couple albums.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to do actually a couple off of a different kind of trip back a couple years ago, too.
Oh, wow.
When that first came out. Yeah, it was fun. And, but, not a lot of people know those songs, so, but...
Yeah.
So we're sticking with the stuff that everybody kind of knows, and we're really actually... doing some of the songs that we dig that hardly any other bands do. So I think it takes a little bit more attention and to detail in these other songs like Romeo Delight or something like that. It's like, ooh.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, Stephen. The first track on this album is called "You're No Good," and doing research today for the interview, I did not know this till today. I'm gonna give you a little trivia. That's a cover by another artist. Do you know who the original artist is?
Linda Ronstadt.
Okay. Because what I got, that's interesting. Because what I got is another artist named Dee Dee Warwick covered it in 1963.
Wow. See, it's a similar thing to like everybody thinking Motley Crue did "Smoking in the Boys' Room" when that's Brownsville Station. It just keeps going back. Everybody keeps. Yeah, but from the last generation.
Yeah. I got this off the Wikipedia for Van Halen too, just so you know. And it's interesting because I had to take a double look at the name because it says Dee Dee Warwick. I said, wait, that's not Dionne Warwick. So I don't know who Dee Dee Warwick. It was a different artist.
I gotta check that out because the only version I grew up with was Linda Ronstadt, who was it was a very cool song.
Yeah.
The way Linda Ronstadt did it, the guitars were super cool on its own.
Van
Halen took it and made it their own, and even added a little part in the middle.
That's interesting. When we later when we get done doing the interview, I'm going to get back on the internet and check out the Linda Ronstadt one because I'm almost willing to bet that's the version Van Halen heard, only because he's so much into guitar. I'd be surprised if he'd heard the earlier version, but who knows?
Well, Dave's an old soul. He probably knows the old version.
Yeah.
He's all about that old vaudeville shit, just like borrowing from the old greats.
Dave definitely brings that to the band. Now, let me ask you, how much of Dave do you really put into what you do on stage? I mean, for example, like you're talking about the different kind of truth, having nothing to do with Van Halen too, but just to kind of get into that for a little bit, I remember when I first heard the song Tattoo, a lot of people, they either love that song or they hate it, but to me that came across the minute I heard it, I said, oh yeah, that's a Dave tune,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, his lyrics are, again, old soul lyrics, and like all of the Tattoo, it's about his tattoos. He's got an amazing body of tattoos that are not just, I love Mom or I was a sailor or something like that. This is some amazing art.
I mean, I think it was you, Stephen, online who was sharing with me that I had made a comment about the song "Me Wise Magic," just loving the nonsensical lyrics, and you were telling me that has to do with like yoga. I thought, wow.
Yeah, well, meditation. Yoga can get you towards meditation, and yoga is a moving meditation, but for the most part, it's more like a gym thing, and you get into the meditation part of it. That's really where you're taking your monkey mind and, hey.
But see, only David Lee Roth could take his mind there. And it's kind of interesting because, again, only David Lee Roth could, going back, the first album, Ice Cream Man,
make a rockin' tune about ice cream, you know? Oh, no, those things amaze me. I mean, you don't know it sometimes whether he's talking about the girl or the car or both at the same time. And, you know, but this whole, his whole spiritual part that came out of all his disciplines. I mean, the guy's a kung fu guy. He has multiple disciplines. Oh, yeah. So of course, he's got all these different angles to look at life and different ways of saying things. And then, super deep. And then, you know, getting to track 2. That I got to say, this is probably my all-time favorite track off this album, "Dance the Night Away." And I'll tell you, I mean, it's good time, fun little like summer tune, gets you going. And I can't tell you all through my 49 years of life how many like TV shows, movies I've heard this song in. And the minute you hear that first note, you know the song. Everyone knew it. Everyone knew the guitar, the background. What does that sound like? It sounds like an ice cream truck or something. Yeah. What? Yeah, it's like, what is that? It's not a keyboard, but we kind of thought it was at the time. But yeah, and also when you hear that first lick, like I said, you know the song, and it's kind of, it's not like classic Van Halen in the sense where it's really centered around the guitar, but the guitar part fits so much. But again, you hear that, and it's such a Dave tune. Well, we used to go to a skating rink, and as soon as that song came on, it was all skate. Everybody skated around, to it or jump. I think it's still amazing with the little kids. Oh yeah. Whenever jump goes on, it's like the kids they know it. Their moms know it. Their grandmas know it. Yeah. Everybody knows it. So. And speaking of jump, that's the first time Van Halen fans really kind of got a taste that Eddie was going to move towards, bringing keyboards more and more into the music. What did you think when you first heard Jump? Fantastic. Again, you got Eddie on the keyboard. Yeah. An aggressive guy. It's not like some other guys on the keyboards. Billy Joel writes fantastic music, but it's not like that. There's you got this aggressive thing from aggressive and happy thing coming from Eddie, just as whatever he's playing, and then you got Dave singing about what he does, and hey everybody, how about you guys doing it too? And everybody jumped. Oh yeah, I mean, and that was kind of my initial, I kind of I'm one of these guys, I let my ears kind of be my judge. I mean, the immediate first time I heard the song, I just fell in love with it. It didn't, and I think at the time Eddie Van Halen was almost like being a daredevil, bringing keyboards into his music, because he was primarily known for being a guitar god at that time. They were known for bringing it, balls to the walls, and they have Running with the Devil, Atomic Punk, and these songs, that are heavy duty and would rival any metal band and just like blow them out of the water. Oh yeah. But then you got this song, Dance the Night Away, and Jump, and it's like, a lot of people said, oh, they sold out, but it's just, the next song is Somebody Give Me a Doctor. Then, holy cow. That's about as metal as you get on this album. I mean, You got unbelievable screams that nobody's ever done before. You got everything that Eddie's doing, the drums and the bass, everything's on fire. The vocals, everything is on fire. And, you can't pretty much say that's a wimpy song. Oh no, and I will say this about David Lee Roth. People say maybe Sammy's a better singer technically, a better songwriter, but Dave, he fit the band. At least that original lineup. I mean, his nonsensical lyrics. It doesn't even matter. Some of these songs that if you even know what the hell he's talking about, they sound cool. Again, with his vaudeville shtick that he's got going on, also, I mean, you look at all of the videos by Van Halen that he partook of, there's a signature director there. And and these early Van Halen albums too, like, I mean, Eddie was kind of a guy, even though he was a guitar god and he's the one everybody was looking at. I mean, Dave was one. He was the entertainer of the band. He was the one up on stage, shaking his ass and moving all over, and you can help but take notice of what he was doing. Well, he got the guys to follow his lead, and they all were very well in shape when they first came out, and they just really, looked like what the heck? All these cats work out and they're cool. But,
yeah, and it was actually Dave's idea to call the band Van Halen because he's like, first of all, who names the band after a singer? They'd be like, what is Roth? Is that a fruit or something? And
that would be a good, cool name, but I mean, Duncan and whatnot. But whatever, everybody. I think it just shows again the character of Roth. That, even though it seems like he has this massive ego, and you're supposed to play the part. You're supposed to play the part. Yeah. And he's an amazing character. If you've seen him with the Joe Rogan show, it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's 100 miles an hour. If you can't keep up, it's like, of course.
And I'll tell you the interesting thing about Dave. When it was first announced that Ed had passed. He took a few days before he put out a statement. Everybody's, how come Dave hasn't responded? But I will tell you this: when he did put his response out, it was one of those things where it was just a few words, but man, the few words he used, it said so much. I mean, he put a picture of him and Ed from the 2015 tour, and it says, "It's been a long, great trip," and it's like that's all he said, but it said so much,
One of my pals just passed away right before Eddie. Yeah. And he's a guitar player. Brian Abreski, God bless you. Great guitar player, and it just like a brother. And it's like if somebody doesn't recognize that or whatever, it's whatever for them. And this is my brother. I know him, and he knows me, and he knows how my heart is. And that's it. You don't have to explain to the world what's going on too much. But Wolfie did a great job.
Oh yeah.
Right? That's his dad.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Even closer, you feel for that kid because you can feel. I mean, it's so fresh, but you can feel every time he talks about his dad just how much he misses him, how much he really loved the guy.
I went to go see them when Wolfie they all first came out together, and I think it was over here in L.A. somewhere, and. Man, they got together, and Dave comes out, and Eddie hugs him, and they're hugging each other, and it's just like a family reunion, and it's like, that's my uncle, and that's my dad, and here comes my cousin Wolfie, and everybody's hugging on stage. It's like, that was amazing.
Yeah, you hear so much talk over years about how much the brothers and Dave hated each other, but I think they got to a point in life where there was that respect, They got to a point where they could deal with each other.
What brothers and sisters? There are some lovely brothers and sisters that never fight, but there are some passionate brothers and sisters that fight and they get together and they create some amazing stuff.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you: have you ever heard of a band, Creedence Clearwater Revival?
Oh yeah, sure.
Now that's a band that had two brothers, but those brothers hated each other. I mean, even when one of them died, the guy was still badmouthed. He's like, "Okay, you won. He died."
Yeah, you win. All right. No, that happens a lot. But they got that mind reading thing that they got going on, and Dave was in on that stuff too. Dave was in on their mind reading. Thing that they had, their organic thing that they grew up with, being from the same area and doing the same thing for so long. Those guys had, what do you call chemistry.
And I'm sure you've heard the story about why the three of them got together, because initially Dave was the one that had the better PA system.
He had the PA, Of course. Yeah, it's great, His band was doing the trick over there, but, everybody wanted to be Eddie, and Eddie wasn't gonna let that happen. Or Alex wasn't gonna let that happen.
I heard in the early days that Dave and Alex were the two business guys in the band that kind of ran the band. And
it's really cool to see that hear Alex talk about it. Like, well, hey, this guy had the swagger, he had the confidence, he had the look, and you really need that. And he was it was Alex. I was just like, really bringing him up. Oh this is the guy.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you hear. I've heard over years, like Mick Mars talking about when they found Vince Neil from Motley Crue. He's like, I didn't care how good of a singer the guy was. When I seen the way he had the audience on their feet and the girls were coming to his shows, that's the guy. That's the guy we want.
It's kind of a lot of bands have a lot of musicians in the crowd or a lot of whatever. and mixed crowd, and then there's the other bands that have a lot of girls in the crowd.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's different, and I think that what Van Halen taught Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, Van Halen preceded Motley Crue, but also Dave was a very intelligent guy. Early on in that, I heard him talk over years, like in interviews, where Dave used to tell Eddie early on, "Hey Ed, when you're doing your thing on stage, don't kind of hide what you're doing. Don't let people see how you're tapping.
Turn your back, yeah.
Yeah. And
turn your back to the audience, man. Because they want to keep a lid on that. Yeah, I remember going to the Troubadour and whatnot, and all the guitar players were talking. That's all they were talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
What's up with this guy?
Yeah. So, tell us the story how you first got into Van Halen. I mean, was it Van Halen 1, or did you hear a song on the radio, and were you immediately like a David Lee Roth fan, or?
Yeah, right off the bat, you hear your Eruption, and You Really Got Me. And I think that's the one because of the Kinks.
Yeah.
You know this song, and at the time I was really into Robert Plant.
Wow.
Led Zeppelin, totally. That's the teacher right there for everybody. Even Dave would say that. But you start with Robert Plant, and he's got his style, and then all of a sudden this guy's screaming like Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not what Robert Plant does. What are you doing, man? You're out of control. At first I was just like, that's not cool. But all of a sudden you see the girls, what? And I'm like, well, maybe they see something I don't.
Yeah.
Of course this guy's just electric, but the screams were first really challenging for me because no one could do it. No one could do it.
See, Dave is really an original. I mean, if you try to figure out who his influence was, we know like he's really into dance music and stuff. I know I've even heard him talk about that, and he's in all kinds of crazy things that you think a rock guy like him would be into. But that's kind of what he brings to the to the table, to the band, and it's kind of interesting because if you look at David Lee Roth, it's not really immediately who his influences are. But then I was reading that one of the guys that he really kind of modeled himself after was Jim Dandy from Black Oak, Arkansas, and you can kind of see that,
They talk to each other about it, and Jim Dandy is one of those gracious guys that says, "Yeah, man, he borrowed from me, and he took it. Look at how far he took it. I love it." He said, "I was just like, wow, it's just what you do. It's like everybody taken from Elvis, everybody taken from the Beatles, everybody taken from Van Halen now." There's but Jim Dandy wasn't about to do the jump and splits like David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not about to do that. There's some guys that try to do it, and God bless them.
Yeah.
But there's other things that I like our band to do is to be. I like to close my eyes and imagine the videos that I saw as a young man when these songs came out. And so I'm there as a child. Again, I'm 13, 14 years old. Wow,
just talking to you, Stephen, you got the David Lee Roth, speaking voice at least, and I can say what I find really interesting about your band, Viva Halen, is I'm a big supporter of tribute bands, like I was telling your bandmate Frank. And the thing is, typically tribute bands, besides just playing the songs, most of them will like kind of dress the part. And your band doesn't necessarily dress the part, but then again, it seems to work for you because, like I was watching some videos online of you guys, and you you seem to have the songs down that good that it doesn't really matter. I mean, typically I like tribute bands because I look at it as rock and roll theater, but I kind of dare say if you were to go to one of your shows or watch a video online of you guys, close your eyes for a minute and talking about you. Man, you'd almost swear you're listening to David Lee Roth on the stage. That the sound alone is just that good. So
I have recorded myself,
and
I think that I'm like, is that me or Dave?
Yeah.
But that's saying a lot. But
but you get close to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean you get close.
I'd like to think that. I like to say that I have the real deal feel.
Oh, I'll say that. Yeah.
And because when I go to a show, I like to see a band with energy, and not so many of these bands that dress up. have the energy. And it looks like they hate what they're doing. As a matter of fact, some of them like it. And that's what I really want to see in any band, is them liking what they're doing, you know?
Well, you know,
that's what a tribute means. Because don't you love Van Halen?
You know, not to give away any trade secrets, but I had this one guy interviewed, and he plays in a Guns N' Roses tribute, but he was telling me he has a friend that he plays in a Beatles tribute. We won't say which one, but he says the guy is he's so into getting the look and the sound and everything just right. Into it, he bought a prosthetic nose so he looks like Ringo, you know, just physically.
No, you know, there's people that you know, they're gonna be doing the Legends in Las Vegas, you know, forever. And that's not really where I want to go. I want to just be me. And if I ever get lucky enough that Dave sees me, I'd like for him to know that this is my version of honest. This is how I sing it, Dave. I know I don't do the scream like you, but you're the king. But
I give it my all. Feel
my energy, brother. That's it. That's all, really. And I happen to have the same birthday as Dave, October 10th. And so
talk about irony. Wow.
That's amazing. So every year I get to explain that to Facebook and whatnot. But I like get his lyrics ever since I was a kid, and I didn't understand that. Not until I got into a tribute band did I even realize that we had the same birthday.
That's amazing. You know? That's amazing.
I was like, oh, holy cow! So,
and I will tell you, a little bit I know about David Lee Roth. He does check out some of these tribute bands, so much so that there was a guy named Bart Walsh, sadly passed away a few years ago, took his own life, but he played in the Atomic Punks, the premier LA tribute to Van Halen, like the original one. And Dave was a big fan of what they were doing at the time, and he loved the guitar player so much he approached him, and he was in David Lee Roth's solo band for a number of years.
What's the name? The guitar player?
Bart Walsh.
Curly hair?
Bart Walsh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Man, I gotta look that guy up. That's cool. You know, Dave's solo stuff was amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I love it all, but probably if I had to pick like two of my favorite albums, I would say probably Eat 'Em and Smile, and then maybe A Little Ain't Enough.
Well, that's one of my next projects, is a tribute just to Roth, because I gotta show the love, man.
You know, there would be kind of, I think, there would be a demand for something like that, because honestly, most people, there's a ton of Van Halen tributes, of course, and there's probably going to be more and more now that Ed has passed, but you really don't get anybody doing the Dave solo stuff, and if you put together a tribute like that, you could mix the Dave era Van Halen with the Dave solo stuff.
Exactly. Well, you know, the reason why there's not a tribute to Roth, because of the musicianship. You really have to be a bad motherfucker to get to do this. You know, I happen to be. I have to keep up. But a lot of guys can, and there's a lot of huffing and puffing going on what, you know, as Dave is just at the top of his game on his solo stuff. He's energized, and that guy is in shape. And if you're not, you know, in shape, you ain't gonna cut it. You're not gonna be able to keep up. It's like running a marathon. You know, you better be conditioned. And I go to Bikram yoga for the last 10, 15, 12 years, something like that, 12 years. And it's because of Dave. It's because I'm not going to do the gymnastics or the jump, but I can, you know, get, you know, real yogaed out and get that zenned out thing going on, and do some nice poses on stage, but definitely not going to do the jump.
And then, you know, a couple more songs off of Van Halen 2 I want to get your take on is how big of a fan are you of the song Out of Love? I think that's kind of it's kind of a different type of song.
Again, this song rocks. You know, Roth is amazing, acrobatic feats of vocalizing. There's a rare that follow that. There's so much hot vocal licks and drums. I think the drums are just the most outstanding. We happen to have Jeff Page and Jana Brunner that we get to have play drums for us. Jeff's been out on his medical.
Okay.
But we had Jana. He's got his knee that hurts.
Okay.
But it's being fixed. And Jana fills in, and she's amazing. And these two kids that are amazing on the drums. It's just amazing to watch them play. I just,
wow.
you know,
Yeah,
pull it off. It's just fantastic energy. The crowd tells me everywhere I go, they go, man, your guys' band is just so filled with energy. I go, right on. Just like, and you can see it. And Love is one of the reasons why. You can't play that song, you know, half-hearted. You gotta just. Yeah,
and then the track that kind of the final track on the album. I mean, what a way to end it! Beautiful Girls. Again, that is such a Dave tune, and if you were to do your tribute to Dave, I'm sure that's one of the songs you'd include. You know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, this is the storytelling almost in every song. You know, that it might be a short song or a short story, but that's the story. It's right there. I'm at the beach. You know, I can visualize the whole thing.
And that's sometimes what kind of really amazes me when you listen to music. A lot of times, some of the best songs ever are, the most simplistic song, the most simplistic phrasing. It doesn't take a lot of brain power. Beautiful Girls, like you said. Again, you listen, you know what he's talking about.
You're at the beach. You know exactly where you're at in this picture, and all those beautiful girls. That he gets to be around. It's just amazing. It's just, California Girls. You see that similar deal. He wrote all these stories so that he could forever be surrounded with this air,
this vision, and 1979 too. The interesting thing when this album came out, is that disco was big at the time, and punk was big. I guess this album specifically, I was reading, it peaked at like number 6 on the Billboard chart, and Dance the Night Away was like a top 10, 20 track off of this. And that's one of those songs you're still hearing, to this day. But I think they really made a statement, Van Halen 1, and this kind of was like a continuation of that.
Oh yeah, this is definitely that chemistry that macho dragster, hot rod, girls, and fun in the sun.
Yeah, and I just gotta say, there's only, of course, one Eddie Van Halen. I say that because when Ed first passed, it was people were spreading all these. Oh, Van Halen's gonna carry on. Wolfie's gonna replace his dad, and I immediately thought, no, there's no way. I mean, it's not taking anything away from Wolfie. He may be the greatest guitar player, but like even he told Howard Stern recently in an interview, my dad, nobody's going to take his place. He was Eddie Van Halen. Who's going to do that?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Now, eventually they're going to have
a tribute show.
A tribute show with all the greats, and Wolfie and Mike's going to be there. Everybody's going to be there, but they need time.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would like to see, and I think that's kind of a plan I've heard too. Wolfgang and maybe Sammy discussed where it'd be cool to like have a tribute event like they did for Freddie Mercury, where they had, like in their case they had all these different singers come, and but in Van Halen's case they'll have a bunch of like guest guitar players, and then Dave and Samuel come up and sing different, and see. That's the way I think they wanted to end it, and unfortunately, Eddie got too sick for that to happen. But it's so cool when you hear that Sammy and him finally got a chance to be friends again before Eddie died. I mean, at least before he passed away, they made peace with each other.
Blessings on that, because I've lost some people in my life, and the regret is one of the worst things in the world, man. It just takes. I'm glad for Sammy that he got to, make amends, and they love each other, because if he would have missed that opportunity, then it would have been really.
Yeah, and I guess when you get when you get terminally ill, and your days are numbered, you have a different perspective because for years. Because for years, Sammy's been saying how he wished that him and Ed could be friends again, and then he said finally when he reached out to Eddie, a few months before. He's like, "What took you so long?" And he's like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah. But we all have our little pride and whatnot.
Yeah.
And they got the media to complicate that more or whatever.
Yeah.
Or people even making up stories or whatever. But we have to tell each other what we love each other now, because you never know.
You never know. I mean,
Like I said, we all have people in our families that have passed or whatever.
Yeah. So
This really hit home when Eddie passed. We had all of us felt like we lost a brother.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's weird because, when I heard the news, I'm sitting in my living room working on the computer, and it comes on the TV screen, and there's a certain part of me that's shocked, but then I wasn't totally shocked, but I heard over the last year that he'd been going back and forth between Europe and the U.S. to get treatment.
Yeah.
But what I did not realize until they reported of his death was he'd actually been battling the cancer since like 2000. So he'd been battling this fight with his cancer for 20 years. I mean, of everybody I've ever heard have cancer, I mean, this guy was a fighter. I mean, he hung in there for 20 years.
And did you see how many smiles he had in those last 20 years?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
He was. Wolfie got Dave in for the last bunch because of this. He knew this would be the setup.
Yeah.
The hey, Dad's got to end on a high note.
Yeah.
No matter what happened, it was because of that, this brotherhood and this love of the family. Everybody made up their stories about why Mike was gone, but this is why.
Yeah.
Because the family, it needed to be the family. It had to happen.
And I can't wait for the Wolfgang solo album to come out to hear the whole thing, because I mean, just what I've heard so far, I think it's going to be cool, and he's finally going to be on his own path.
Did you hear his voice? I mean, how cool! I mean, he's singing, playing the drums, playing the bass, playing guitar.
He does everything, and see, that's the cool thing. Like you said, this is a kid that he started with playing with his dad like when he was 15 or 16 years old. The last few years, and it was him that actually, from what I understand, he told him, "Listen, Dad, just hear me out. I think you need to call Michael Anthony. You need to ask him to come back. Why not?" He said, and he was actually considering it. But he says it was my idea, and that for a kid that young, that takes a lot of initiative.
Yeah, but we can see how he wanted that father-son thing. I mean, man, I don't know about you guys, but I do. I have my son, and he's an amazing bass player. But he's doing other stuff.
Yeah.
One day I would like to play in a band with my kid. Boy, howdy. But that just would be amazing, because I just want to show off how amazing my son is. And he could sing as good, or if not better than me, and he can play amazing bass, way better than me. And so look at him go. Here's my kid. This is what I know.
Yeah. So
when I saw Eddie with Dave, with Wolfie, that was
And the saddest thing is, like I was saying, when first these rumors going around that Van Halen's going to continue on with Wolfie, I started thinking immediately, well, let's just think about Alex Van Halen, what he's going through, because not only has he lost his kid brother, but they were like joined at the hip. That was his best friend, and like you said, they had this interlocking. They could read each other's minds, and could you imagine him ever stepping on a stage, especially calling the band Van Halen, without his brother Ed?
No. He's I hope that he gets up to play again, in honor of his brother.
Yeah.
But that's hard to find sometimes, for a lot of people, and myself included. But if sometimes you should retire the name.
Yeah.
Because the singer's dead or the guitar player is dead. It's just not cool. It feels like you're just trying to make money off of it, and that's not them. They're just filled with family love, and have that.
I mean, they do have that. You can. I mean, nobody's like out there saying, "Oh no, Ed passed on, but Van Halen carries on." They have that family love, like you said. They're not like that. It's kind of like, and you can kind of understand why the guys did it, but like when a couple years back when the Doors tried to carry on without Jim Morrison. Okay, Ian Ashbur's a great singer, but it's not exactly the Doors,
That's a great example right there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of those. It's just, but whatever. The people did it, and whatever. It's just, but then you see the response from the people,
Yeah. And that's why that didn't last. They called it the Doors of the 21st century. John Dinsmore, he was going to sue other guys, but so it didn't work out. But like you said, the people spoke, and I could talk to y'all day, Steven. I've enjoyed getting to know you. So before we wrap this up, I just want to ask you in regards to your band, Viva Halen. What was the hardest thing? Like when, first of all, were you the original singer from the band? Did you join the band once it was formed, or?
They had a guy before me, I believe, and then it's like I said, it's a tough spot to fill, and
what was the hardest thing for you to like get these songs down and learn them? I mean,
I thought I knew them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the toughest thing was my ego, because I grew up, singing all over the place and having kind of band, and you like Van Halen? Yeah, I like that. I know my ego, and then but when as soon as you knuckle down to learn these songs, and this is what most people don't do is detail. And I'm looking for the detail. If you're playing Van Halen, I'm looking for the detail. And if you don't do the detail, then I'm walking down the street. Because it's just, okay, I know who you are, at least, and you know who I am, so let's, look each other in the eye. And that's the difference. I think that I had to sit down for a couple of years
to really
recording myself. All these songs, and I still do. I do it all the time. That's my.
You're dedicated to your craft, and again, that's talking about the ego or lack of it. Because a guy that's full of ego, I got it down, man. I don't need to practice,
Yeah, and then I would see myself on a video. And I'd be like, oh, I don't have it down. Oh, I missed that part. Oh, I missed this part. So what do I want out of myself? And this all came from doing yoga. That practice. You want to get better and better and better. So that I started adapting that to my singing.
See, Van Halen fans are real diehards to the point that, if you dare try to replicate this stuff and you're even off a nudge, they're going to let you know, no, hey, man, you suck, So that's why you got to be a real professional when you're doing this stuff. And talk a little bit more about the legacy of Van Halen. I mean, as I sit here talking to you, this just popped in my mind. Can you believe that 2020 marks the 40th anniversary of one of my favorite Van Halen albums, Women and Children First?
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean
that's just amazing.
That's how long these guys have been around. That's how long we've been listening to this, music. And
they have a lasting power. This is what a lot of people don't have.
And final thought for you, Steve. Since we're talking a lot about David Lee Roth too, are you aware even that he released a Spanish version of Eat 'Em and Smile? I was like, man, that's such a Dave thing to do,
No, he's amazing. I love that. I love that stuff. We're kind of doing more like Viva Las Vegas and Habla.
Wow.
I would love to record that, something like that. It's a challenge. Being brought up in Southern California, Surf Town, USA. We're really doing a lot of Spanish talking, so. I know some Spanish. I think Frank's way more fluent than I am, but the guy the guy they had before me was full on from Mexico. So.
That's the reason I brought it up, because in the interview I did with him, he was talking about that they discussed doing that actually, and he's like, it didn't pan out, but maybe down the line. And
you can only do it if you sound like Dave. Don't do it if you sound like Vince Neil. Sound like Dave.
Well, Frank was saying too that the other thing is, if you're going to do it, you don't want to just go in and record a bunch of your version of Van Halen songs. You want to kind of do something a little different, If
you can do what this is what I told Frank is like I'd love to do to Van Halen what Van Halen did to the Kinks.
Yeah, because it's funny you say that, because I dare you go up to a Van Halen fan and you ask them about the song You Really Got Me. Oh yeah, Van Halen. That's a Van Halen song. No, that's a Kinks song. But see, they own it so much that most people think of it. They've forgotten about the Kinks, because a lot of the Van Halen fans they came after that,
Yeah. That's how different. Eventually, I want to lean to what our style.
Yeah.
There's a band called Adrenaline Mob, and the way they do the Mob Rules is their style, and the way he sings it is more gusto than the way Dio sings it.
Wow. Yeah.
And the guitar player is more flashier and so on.
Yeah, just like,
so what I eventually want to do with the Stephen Lee show.
Or just call it like the Stephen Lee experience or something like that. But
I like that.
But it's cool because like the final thing I'm gonna say is like you look at too what they did with Pretty Woman. Great Roy Orbison song, but that too, that's a Van Halen song. I mean Dave owns it. They made it their own, and I've gone back to listen to the original version, but I gotta say the Van Halen one, of course, is my favorite.
Dancing in the Streets.
Oh, that's another. See, we could go on and on.
You just keep going. Where have all the good times gone?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
good time.
What?
Yeah.
They made it their own, and that's what I believe.
Makes a great cover. Yeah. Well,
to your hero is this is the way I do it. This is my offering. Hello.
Yeah.
And this is my best that I can do.
Like, I interviewed Frankie Banali, the drummer from Quiet Riot a number of years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about those 2 Slade songs they did. He said, here's a trade-off. He goes, okay,
That's
he says, Quiet Riot got the fame, but Slade, who hadn't performed or anything in years and years, they started making a bunch of money because of Quiet Riot. And he said, rightfully so, if everyone's to write the song. He's like, we got the fame and they got the fortune,
That's cool, though. If you can really look at it that way, they're generating money anyway.
Yeah.
It's just, and it's supposed to be that way.
Oh, yeah.
You give tribute to the guys that were before.
And then what's funny is I've heard Kevin Dubrow, the late Quiet Riot singer, talking about, man, the producer was one that wanted them to do, like, Come On, Feel the Noise. And he's like, I went in there because I didn't want to do the song. I hated Slade.
Wow.
He's like, I was doing my best to sound awful, but I just couldn't do it. And it's funny, you listen to Quiet Riot's version of Come On, Feel the Noise, and he sounds so much like the singer Noddy Hodler. It's not even funny.
Yeah. Yeah, you listen to that earlier stuff from those guys, and you're like, holy cow, this guy was singing this way back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Steve, I want to thank you for taking time talking to me. The interview we did will be going up in early December. I'll let you know the minute it posts.
All right.
And if you enjoy doing this, maybe we do it again down the line because I really enjoyed. Maybe you could be my Van Halen guy. Thanks for doing this.
Man.
Okay, and let me know if you get your other project going, the David Lee Roth thing. I'd love to help promote that when it gets going.
Yes, sir. You have a great day, man. I appreciate you.
You too. Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
Conversation. Happy holidays, brother.